Saranai.
Okay, let us begin with metta. May all beings be happy and secure. May all beings have happy minds. Whatever living beings there may be, without exception, weak or strong, long, large, medium, short, subtle or gross, visible or invisible, living near or far, born or coming to birth. May all beings have happy minds. Let no one deceive another, nor despise anyone anywhere. Neither from anger nor ill will should anyone wish harm to another. As a mother would risk her own life to protect her only child, even so towards all living beings one should cultivate a boundless heart. One should cultivate for all the world a heart of boundless loving friendliness, above, below, and all around, unobstructed, without hate and resentment, whether standing, walking, sitting, lying down, or whenever awake. One should develop this mindfulness. This is called divinely dwelling here, not falling into erroneous views, but virtuous and endowed with vision, removing desires for sensual pleasures. One comes never again to birth in the womb. Friends, with this metta thought, let us continue our meditation first. As we have repeated in the past, let us focus our mind on the pure, simple breathing without trying to manipulate breath or hold breath or conceptualize breath. Let the simple, pure, clean breath enter the body and exit. We notice when we pay attention to the breath, we first notice breath touching the nostrils and then leading into our lungs. We notice also the expansion of lower abdominal area and chest area. The primary place the breath touches is the nostrils, and others are secondary. Therefore, we have to pay mindful attention to the nostrils, which is like a door gateway for the breath to enter and exist. As we keep paying attention to it, we notice when we inhale, breath touching our nostrils and expanding our lower abdominal area and chest area. When we breathe out, lower abdomen contracts, chest area contracts, and breath leaves the nostrils. This, these functions repeat themselves again and again every time we breathe in and out. The difference is when we deliberately, mindfully breathe in and out, we can notice these functions. And then we notice the feeling of breath, perception of breath, thought of breath, consciousness of the breath. We are conscious of the breath. And when we breathe in, this feeling, perception, thought, and consciousness change. As we breathe out, they change again. Not the same feeling, same perception, same thought, or same consciousness. They change so rapidly that we hardly can notice or can identify or isolate one of them, because they change so quickly, rapidly, almost altogether. When we see this change, this impermanent nature, there will no longer be any desire for holding on to anything, because we cannot hold on to anything. And then, as the breath, uh, the body and the mind relax, we begin to feel the feeling of metta in us. Metta roots is in us, in our minds. Only when we relax, this begins to manifest itself, and we feel the breath. We feel the loving friendliness, metta. And then, along with that, compassion arises. When compassion arises, restlessness and worry fades away. And then we get even energetic. That is, we see more and more very wholesome, beneficial results that gives us additional strength, spiritual strength to continue our practice with more vigor, more trust, more courage. Then sleepiness and drowsiness fades away. And then, seeing all these results, we build up our confidence. So doubt fades away. We see all these results, we become delighted, full of joy, which leads to happiness. Happiness leads to tranquility, more calm, peaceful, relaxed state, which leads to concentration. When we gain concentration, we don't become like a vegetable or rock or inanimate object. Rather, mind becomes very sharp and clear and experience the deepest level of impermanence. Impermanence is not something exists, but impermanence, whatever exists becomes impermanent and disappears. So impermanence we experience in the subtlest, deepest way when we gain concentration. So with this, let us continue our meditation and try to see this experience without using any word or concept or theories, ideas. Let this feeling, this awareness of impermanence repeat itself. Though it is so quick and rapid, still we can notice the impermanence. dukkha pattaca nidukkha bhaya pattaca nibbhaya sukha pattaca nisukha hontu sabbe pipanino. May the suffering be free from suffering. May the fear struck be free from fear. May the grieving be free from grief. So too may all beings be. With this metta thought, friends, let us try to understand this discourse through the answers that I give to the questions that Brian will ask me. These are your questions. You send them to him and got them printed, and now I try to answer them when he reads them.
Okay, you all did a great job of following Bantaji's instructions of asking lots of good questions. I'm going to prioritize questions about the Satipatthana Sutta. First question, dear Bante, may I know what is meant by bear, the word bear? May I know what is meant by bare knowledge/awareness in the paragraph on contemplating internally and externally?
Okay. Yes, you see, this body exists. Attikayo suvapanasa satipattipatyahoti yavadev jnanamatta. That is what you have translated. We become so absorbed in the practice that all we during that practice become aware only of the breath. And this breath, although it serves various other purposes, we use it only to gain awareness. Awareness of what? Awareness of impermanence. Awareness of impermanence. The body exists for us to gain awareness and knowledge. Sati Pachupattita Hoti, the mindfulness. We know this discourse is called establishment of mindfulness. And here, the mindfulness is present. Pachupattita means present at this very moment. Pachupanna is the current present moment. At this very present moment, this breath body exists for us to gain this awareness of impermanence. That is what it means, pure and simple awareness of impermanence, without greed, hatred, delusion, or any other mental factors. We simply keep the mind, as I mentioned at the beginning, we keep the mind totally focused only on this breath, and then impermanence registers in our mind. Only for that purpose this breath body exists for us to gain that awareness. Bare means without any other mental contents. There are various mental factors. Without any of these mental factors, we keep the mind pure and simple on this very pure and simple breath to know impermanence exactly as it is. it comes and goes so quickly, and that quick appearance and disappearance, whatever appears, disappears at the same speed as it appeared. It doesn't stay there. That is the meaning.
Thank you, Bhante. Next question. Why is it that there are only 4 steps of the breathing meditation when Anapanasati Sutta has 16 steps? Is it because the essential ones are these 4 steps? I ask because I find Anapanasati 16 steps hard to do and have not gone beyond the second tetrad.
Right. It is also a good question. Now remember, this is Anapanasati Sutta is specialized only of in breathing. That is the title itself suggests Anapanasati. This the discourse that we are focusing on is Mahasatipatthana Sutta, which has a part of Anapana and many other parts of these 5 aggregates, this body and mind. In order to cover all this, only one section of mindfulness of breathing included in this Mahasatipatthana Sutta. And if actually, if you read Anapanasati Sutta, the first tetrad, first 4 pairs are enough for one to gain all the knowledge of all the factors of enlightenment, 7 factors of enlightenment, you can gain by practicing the first 4 pairs of the mindfulness of breathing, Anapanasati Sutta. In Anapanasati Sutta, Buddha mentioned the gaining insight into the 7 factors of enlightenment. He mentioned it 4 times. 4 times. First tetrad, second tetrad, third tetrad, fourth tetrad. 4 times. That will lead to more other questions, but I don't want to raise question by myself to make it quite long. I suspend those impending questions that might come up from you. But for now, we just remember the first tetrad, first pairs of 4 are enough to gain, develop the 7 factors of enlightenment. I think because of that, including only one tetrad, first 4 pairs, is enough for this big, very great discourse called Mahasatipatthana Sutta. That is the answer.
Thank you, Bhante. That was very clear. Another good question. Since breath is the body conditioner, what conditions the breath?
Okay, very good. What conditions the breath? Breath conditions by the atmospheric movement, air. Air is created by the motion, movement. The earth is moving, ocean is moving, everything is rotating, and this rotation conditions the air, and part of which we breathe. So air doesn't exist by itself. It is generated by the motion of the earth. There is a large picture, and that is what conditions the breath, the motion of the oceans and the earth rotating all the time, that never stops. And therefore, this motion creates air. Okay. Therefore, we can say breath is conditioned by the motion of the earth and oceans.
Thank you, Bhante.
Yeah.
Okay, question number 4. I don't feel the breath at my nostrils, but I do feel expansion of chest, etc. Can I focus on one of these areas rather than my nostrils?
All right. Now, uh, normally these are exceptional cases. Normally, we are supposed to focus our mind on the nostrils as we breathe in and out, because that is the only place through which we breathe. If we open our mouth to breathe, and then I mentioned it earlier, if we breathe through the mouth, we get our mouth will be dry, we feel thirsty, and also whatever the harmful particle in the air can go into our lungs. Of course, through the process, some of them will be trapped through our what you call breathing bronchial tubes, uh, but that can be avoided if we breathe through the nose, because nose is formed with some hair in it, and also it has a passage, uh, some passage before it goes to bronchial tubes, and therefore, for hygienic reasons, breathing through the nose is better. Anyway, if you don't feel the breath at your tip, at the rims of your nostrils, then it's all right for you to become aware of rising and falling of the chest or the abdomen. You know, there was or still is tradition which emphasize focusing mind on the rising and falling of the breath, because that also is all right. What you can notice in there is the same as what you notice in the breath. What you notice in rising and falling also is impermanence. So it has to be very, very subtle for you to see the deep level of impermanence when you pay attention to the rising and falling of the breath. So I don't think that is absolutely wrong. You can do that and become aware of it. Be comfortable with that.
Bhante, that's Mahasi Sayadaw, right? That put
Right.
the emphasis on
Right.
the rising and falling of the belly.
Right.
Thank you, Bhante.
You're welcome.
Okay, this one's a bit longer question. In the Mahasatipatthana Sutta, there is no mention of focusing on the contact of the breath at the nostrils, as is most usually taught. Instead, there is a wider focus of attention on the physical aspect of the breath, being mindful of whether the inhalation is short or long, whether the exhalation is short or long, and of breathing in, quote unquote, sensitive to the entire body, and of breathing out, quote unquote, sensitive to the entire body. Did not the instructions for more intense narrow focus on the nostrils come from Buddhaghosa and not from the Buddha? Can you suggest why Buddhaghosa felt the need to modify the Buddha's teaching from a wider, softer focus that includes sensitivity on the entire body to a focus that excludes and pinpoints concentration on the nostrils? Was Buddhaghosa simply recommending an upaya, a skillful means?
Okay. There are several questions in one. So, yes, it is true that Mahasatipatthana does not specifically mention focusing the mind on the nostrils. But this is not Venerable Buddhaghosa's invention. In other suttas, in Samyutta Nikaya, Anguttara Nikaya, Buddha has mentioned to focus the mind on the rims of our nostrils. Although this sutta does not mention it there, but in other suttas, in Buddha's own suttas, it is mentioned. So Buddhaghosa has quoted the Buddha, although he did not use the quotation marks and refer to the Buddha. Venerable Buddhaghosa used other references in Samyutta Nikaya and Anguttara Nikaya. So that is to answer that part of the question. And Buddhaghosa did not create another technique or upaya by himself to as a teaching method. He just followed the Buddha's instruction, which he found in Anguttara Nikaya and Samyutta Nikaya. Okay?
Thank you, Bhante.
You're welcome.
Next question. Is it necessary to connect the meditation experience while meditating to what we have learned about the different stages of meditation, i.e. vitaka, vichara, piti, and sukha? Or is it better to analyze the experience at the end of a sitting? I am wondering whether it would be an obstacle to the meditation, thus disturbing the calming mind. Please advise.
Okay. Now, I mentioned at the beginning, as you develop your practice, your vitaka or hindrances slowly, especially hindrances, fades away. Now, if any hindrance arises at any time, then you got to do something to overcome that hindrance. If the hindrance do not arise in the mind, if the thoughts don't arise in the mind, don't try to invite them. If no hindrances, you well and good, you will be happy and continue your practice. If you want hindrances, you invite them. Of course, you can get it plentiful, mouthful of them. So I don't think you should make any effort to invite hindrances. If they are, when we come to hindrance section, we can see that in the discourse itself. It is mentioned very clearly. Asantang vajjatang kamachyanda natim ajjatang kamachyandot pajanati. Like that, when there is no sense desire, it is given for all the five hindrances. So whenever there is no hindrance, the mind is just focused on the practice of mindfulness. You stay on that, and after you meditate, and after meditation means your meditation will be interrupted because you remember to make a telephone call or have to go shopping or clean the house or give milk the baby and so forth, whatever your regular household activities prop up in your mind, and that time you you cannot continue your practice. That is how you get out of your practice. When that happens, meditation is interrupted, and then if you especially sincerely want to continue, at that time you look back, reflect on what you did, how you did, and what happened during your practice, and what shortcoming you encountered, and how to avoid those shortcomings again, and so forth. You make a sort of a review of your practice after you have been interrupted by anything. But during the meditation, don't try to spend time analyzing, criticizing, reviewing. Then you will go off the track very quickly, and you get involved in conceptual proliferation. Conceptual proliferation. Don't proliferate concepts, increase concepts, thoughts, ideas, analyzing, and so on during the meditation. The analytical, critical system is one. That also not bad. We have to investigate Dhamma when we read Dhamma books, when we have discussions, when we hear the Dhamma, and so forth, memorize, and then we discuss. That is another system. That is not bad. Buddha always encouraged us to do that. But during meditation, I think that would become a sort of obstruction, hurdle. So during meditation, I would suggest that you should not do that. Yeah.
Thank you, Bhante.
Any other question?
Yes. My question is regarding the difference between pajanati and sikati in regards to the connection between joy and concentration in meditation. As I understand it, pajanati is merely the act of putting the awareness on the breathing, in other words, knowing, while sikati has a component of effort born out of keen observation and concentration. One follows the breath in every detail without verbalizing, seeing the change in every tiny modification that occurs. In the second tetrad of the Anapanasati, the first verse talks about the experience of piti using the same term sikati, which could be conceived of having that same element of effort. So it would seem that joy is occurring as a result of concentration. However, according to the factors of enlightenment order, it would seem that concentration is occurring as a result of joy and equanimity. Could you please clarify this point?
Now, pajanati and sikhati. Pajanati is knowing, experiencing, becoming aware, is called pajanati. You know. Sikhati is training. We say the precept called Sikkhapada, training rules. And one who is under training is called Sikkhamana. If a girl is under training to become ordained, she is called trainee. So, this is the difference. One is knowing. While knowing, you train yourself. You have to know what to do in order to train yourself. When you know something is wrong, you don't do it. When you do something, when you know something right, you do it. So this is how you train. You train to avoid, you train to continue. That is called Sikkati. And then piety arises by seeing the truth. Uh, Piety patisangvedi asasisameti sikkati. So here, when the mind is knowing, training, then one can see the development. Then piti arises. Your effort to overcome, effort to cultivate, effort to develop brings positive results. Then, seeing positive results, you will have a joy. That is piety. And the same thing we can see in the Bojjhanga, Piti Sambojjhanga. Piti Sambojjhanga arises after effort. In meditation, also after effort, to learn, to know, to train, you make effort. When this effort produces very beneficial, wholesome results, then you have a joy. Similarly, in Bojjhanga, when you practice Virya Sambojjhanga, that is the third aspect, third Bojjhanga, Sati, Dhamma, Vicaya, Virya. So similarly, when you make effort, the same fourfold effort, effort to prevent, effort to overcome, effort to arouse, effort to maintain, this is the four types of effort. With this four effort, you begin to see beneficial results. When you get the beneficial results, naturally piti arises, joy arises. I think I mentioned this several times in other contexts. I said, yato yato sammasati khandanang udayabhyang labati piti pamojjang. I said, whenever one sees rising and falling and rising and falling of the five aggregates, then one sees the truth. Rising and falling is the truth. It is not something artificial or what you call temporarily superficial or temporarily created or manufactured, but it is the truth. Truth begins to appear, manifest itself. Then joy definitely arises in you. That joy arises while you are meditating, while you are practicing the factors of enlightenment, and while you are thinking of Dhamma. Whenever you see truth, undeniable truth, unquestionable truth, then definitely that is called niramisa piti. Niramisa means joy without greed, hatred and delusion, without any mundane material expectation, material gain. You have a joy, piti. That is called niramisa sukha, niramisa piti, niramisa piti, niramisa sukha and so forth. We will discuss all these things when we come to Vedana Anupassana, meditation on the feelings, sensations. So anyway, when you see the truth, honestly, sincerely, you practice meditation, honestly and sincerely, with open heart, you can see the truth, undeniable truth, joy arises, whether it is during meditation or practicing, investigating Dhamma. Bojjhanga also is a practice of meditation. The name is different, but the function is the same. When the function is the same, results must be the same, and joy must be the same. So, good question. And tomorrow, perhaps, I will continue Mahasatipatthana Sutta. I'm very happy that you came up with good question. I encourage you to think more and more. This is how you learn Dhamma. This is how you learn meditation. Ask questions. Don't try to spend 1 second thanking me. I know you have, you are thankful to the Dhamma, the Buddha, and so forth. I'm just a sort of a mouthpiece of the Buddha. I don't deserve anything. But you focus your mind on all your energy, time to investigate Dhamma, find good questions to ask me next time. With this, I want to end this morning session, and I'm very happy that you all came to participate in this. May all those who have been suffering, who are suffering in various ways, especially those who are in hospitals, taken care of by doctors, nurses, and hospital staffs. May they recover very quickly, return to their normal health, and continue their Dhamma's work, meditation, and liberate themselves from suffering, from samsaric suffering. And others who are who have been grieving the death of their loved ones, I hope they understand Dhamma. The more you know Dhamma, easier for you to overcome your grief. And there are others who are financially supporting many organizations, many places, even to find out some vaccine. May they continue their generous support and their selfless service and live long in good health. There are many leaders who have done a lot of good things to overcome this COVID-19, and may they continue their insightful, understanding service. Other leaders may take some time, even though they may do their best as they know, and we want to wish them peace, happiness, understanding, patience, determination, compassion, and wisdom to make right decision. With this, I end this morning session. Thank you.
Thank you.